What's up, you guys? So it is Bible study time, and I have a 2-for-1 for you guys. So I'm still in the book of Exodus, and I'm at the part where Moses and the Israelites are free from Pharaoh, and they are on the run, so to speak. And I'm just going to read it, and then I'm going to give you guys message. Here we go. All right, so this is chapter 13, verse 17, and it reads, When Pharaoh finally let the people go, God did not lead them along the main road that runs through Philistine territory, even though that was the shortest route to the promised land. God said, if the people are faced with a battle, they might change their minds and return to Egypt. So God led them in a roundabout way through the wilderness toward the Red Sea. So we're going to start right here. When I read this, I immediately was like, okay, God, this is good. And it's leading me to share a personal experience from my past of how I was once in a relationship and I wanted to get out of that relationship. And so I would be going back and forth. It was a toxic relationship. I've spoke about it maybe a few times, but I have never gotten really deep into it. But it was a toxic relationship. And sometimes I would leave. I would pack up all my stuff. And then I would go to my mom's house. And then after a couple of days, things would die down. I would return back to the toxicity. And so that's what would happen back and forth. And so it was easy for me to leave the situation because I knew that I didn't belong in that situation anymore. And so it was a straight shot for me to go to my mom's house to just get a break. But then I would end up in some weird toxic way wanting to be back with this person. So I would return back, right? And so eventually it came down to a point where I left. But when I left, I went to my mom's house, but this time I didn't have a car. Because when I went to my mom's house, I can't remember the details, but somehow, some way, I just didn't have a car this last time. And so I wasn't able to easily return back to the toxic relationship. And so in reading this, I instantly got a revelation of how God will allow you to be in a situation, right? But once that situation becomes unhealthy and is pulling you away from God, once you get out of it, He's not going to give you that shortcut, that easy route. He's going to take you around a long way because He knows that once the first sign of trouble comes up, you'll be ready to go back to where you came from. And that's so true because that's how I was. Like when I would leave and I would make up my mind like, okay, I'm never going back. At the first sign of, okay, my phone bill is due. I don't have no money, but I know he got the money, so let me go back because I know he's going to pay the bill. Or it would be, okay, I know the kids need this, that, and the third, and I really don't have enough money to get everything, but I know if I go back, he'll pay for it. And so that last time when I left, right, I wasn't able to easily go back. I didn't have a car. He didn't come get me. He didn't come pick me up. You know what I'm saying? So that was the roundabout way. God was like, every time you leave, you go back at the first sign of trouble. So this time when you leave, I'm going to make sure that you figure it out. You go around the long way because you need to depend on me. You don't need to depend on him. That's not even where you're supposed to be. And so in reading this, that's what I got. If the people are faced with a battle, they might change their minds and return to Egypt. So God led them in a roundabout way through the wilderness toward the Red Sea. Because you have to remember, these slaves, that's all that they've known. Even though they are slaves, that is all that they've known. That is the security that they had. As toxic as it is, that is the security that they had. That is all that they knew. And when you are in those detrimental, toxic situations, God is the only one that can pull you out. You can try to do it yourself, but you're going to want to go back because that's all you know. Okay. Let me move on. So, this is the second revelation. I'm in chapter 14, and we're going to start from verse 5. When word reached the king of Egypt that the Israelites had fled, Pharaoh and his officials changed their minds. "What have we done letting all those Israelite slaves get away?" they asked. So Pharaoh harnessed his chariot and called up his troops. He took with him 600 Egypt's best chariots along with the rest of the chariots of Egypt, each with its commander. The Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, so he chased after the people of Israel, who had left with fists raised in defiance. The Egyptians chased after them with all their forces in Pharaoh's army, all his horses and chariots, his charioteers, and his troops. The Egyptians caught up with the people of Israel as they were camped beside the shore across from Baal Zephon. As Pharaoh approached, the people of Israel looked up and panicked. When they saw the Egyptians overtaking them, they cried out to the Lord, and they said to Moses, "Why did you bring us here? Why did you bring us out here to die in the wilderness? Weren't there enough graves for us in Egypt? What have you done to us? Why did you make us leave Egypt? Didn't we tell you this would happen while we were still in Egypt? We said, 'Leave us alone. Let us be slaves to the Egyptians. It's better to be a slave in Egypt than a corpse in the wilderness.' But Moses told the people, 'Don't be afraid. Just stand still and watch. The Lord will rescue you today. The Egyptians you see today will never be seen again. The Lord himself will fight for you. Just stay calm.'" All right. So that was a lot. Basically, what is happening is Pharaoh has now realized that he has let his slaves go. And now he's like, okay, what in the world have we done? That was a bad decision. Let's go back and get them. So he finds them out in the wilderness, okay? And the slaves get scared. They get scared because now they're like, okay, we're out here in the wilderness, but when we were slaves, at least we had security. At least we had food. At least we had a routine. At least we had shelter. Now we're out here in the unknown. We don't know what to do. And we told you this would happen. And Moses is like, calm down. God is with you. God will rescue you. God will take care of them. Let the Lord fight for you. Just stay calm. And so in reading that, it brings me back to when I finally left that relationship, right? I didn't have a car, okay? And now I can't just easily return back to where I once was. So now I'm out here. I'm out here in the world. I'm out here in life. I got my kids. I don't know what to do. I'm afraid. The only thing that I knew, the only shelter I had is gone, right? And so I actually miss that comfortability. But staying out in the wilderness for so long leaves you no choice but to trust God, because that is all you have. You can't depend on man. You can't depend on a job. You can't depend on your mom. You only have God. And when you realize that, when you stay calm in the middle of the storm, and you realize that God is really in control of everything, that brings about a peace that surpasses all understanding. And you realize that the Lord will fight for you. Just be calm.